Hi, this is Dr. Jones, and this is part 2 for the correlation assignment. I have the uh, files up before me as you saw at the end of the last video, and we are going to take each of these files and open the critical information and put it into a new file. So what I have here is a blank Excel sheet. I'm going to save that, and that's going to be um, what the assignment says that you need to save this as. And I'm going to use my last name and the week that the assignment is due, and then what the assignment is. And we are going to save it as a CSV, the comma separated right there. There are several of them out there, but we're going to do it as that one, comma delimited. Okay, save it as that. Now, we need to get the different stocks open and get the information out there. So let's pull the first one. That's AMD. Now, the only thing that we want from this very first um, set of information, we do not need open, high, low, or volume. All we need from this first one is date and close. I want you to notice that it's the latest date that's up there right now, but that's okay. All of them are like that. So we're going to copy this. We're going to paste this into that file. Then we're going to copy this and we're going to paste that into that same one. But I'm going to rename that at the top as AMD because that's the name of this stock. Okay, it's AMD. I'm going to rename it as AMD. And these are the closing prices for AMD on these dates right here. And if you didn't know, if you went all the way down here, blah, 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 it goes all the way down to 8/21 of 2025. And we are at 8/21 of 2026. Okay, so now we need to get the next set. And all we're going to be doing on each of the rest of these is just pulling the closing price. We don't need anything else. Notice it's 8/21, 2026. Copy and paste, and then change this to BAC because it's Bank of America Corp. Now you'll notice these are not the same two industries. It doesn't matter. We've got them by alphabetical order, and that's fine. It's no big deal. Hilton. Copy it. Paste that here. That's HLT. And close this one. JP Morgan. Copy that. Paste that. JP Morgan. Almost done. Marriott. Copy that. Paste it. Then NVIDIA. Copy that. Okay, we've got our stocks. I can close this one. Now, Notice that this is from most recent down to the farthest away. We don't want it that way. We want it to be where it goes from oldest to newest, not from newest to oldest. So go to Data, go to Sort. My data has headers, date, oldest to newest, and click OK. Now I'm going to save it again as a CS. It still is a CSV, okay? So now that's the information that I'm going to put into SPSS, okay? So we can pull that down and let's open up SPSS. Da-da-dum-dum-dum. Sorry this is taking just a minute, but it'll be there. It will be there. Okay, there we go. We can close that down. We want to open, open a data file. And I need to go to and I need to tell it to open up a text file, the CSV. And that's the one that I'm looking for right there. That's got all my stocks into it, okay? So click on open and it's going to send me through a series of essentially questions. Now, does my text file match predefined format? That's a no. It is delimited because it's comma separated values. It's separated by commas, you'll notice like that. So it's delimited. Variable names are at the top of the file, yes. So you have date and you have each of the ticker symbols there. What is the decimal symbol? It's period. The commas are the separators. The period is the decimal. Click on next. Oh, and notice that the line that contains variable names is 1, but that's fine. It's up there at the top. Each line is a case, so in other words, each of these is its own set of observations. I want to bring in all of the lines, not just one of them, and click on next. And comma is what separates these out. You could choose lots of them, but comma is what separates each of these lines out there. And click out next. And the first one is date. Excellent. And it's not a problem. We are looking at date time for that. And I can define these right now. Then I click on AMD, and it is a numeric. Bank of America is numeric. Hilton is numeric. JP Morgan is numeric. Now, typically, the system would have picked that up that it's numeric, but we're going to verify it because sometimes when you put the data in, it isn't like that. You want it as a string, that's a text file, etc. Okay. And it could be any number. We could say dollars, but it's not important that it be dollars, even though they are dollars. But the fact that we have the dates as dates, that's important out there. Save this file format for future use. No. Paste the syntax. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Finish this off. Okay. Now, here's the next thing I need to do. I need to save this. And I want to save this as the same information that I had before, the same name to it, but I want to save it as an SPSS file. So save as. There we go. I'm going to put that in there, and it's a SAV file. Okay, so the original data, the raw data, is in a CSV, but I'm saving this now as a as an SPSS file. Okay, now the very first thing that you need to do with this, we need to analyze this, and we need to go to descriptives. Now, you don't need to run a frequencies on all these because that's not important, but descriptives on all of these is important. So when you open that up, we want to pull all of these. Let me see if I can pull them all at the same time. There we go. Pull them all over. Options. We want the mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum, display in variable list. So we don't need to change that. Style. Don't need to change that. Cancel that out. Bootstrap is no. Click on OK. We don't want to do the standardized values. There are times when you want to do that, but not now. We're just wanting information. Okay. So this is the descriptives that shows what you have for each of your pieces of data. That demonstrates to me what your different variables are or values are. Now, the only ones that we're going to try to correlate are the stocks, not the date there. But now you have the descriptive statistics. Next, go to correlate bivariate. And it's going to ask you which of these variables do you want to put in there. And that is what you're going to do. You want the Pearson box checked, which it should be. Test is two-tailed. Significant correlations. Only do the lower triangle because it's the same thing, okay? The lower triangle and the upper triangle, they're the same. So only do the lower triangle and you save yourself a lot of printing out there. Options. We already have the means and standard deviations in the descriptives. We don't need that. So we'll cancel that part out. Style, again, cancel that out. Don't need to bootstrap, and the confidence interval is not important either because that's just going to give you a different little graph. Okay, so this is what we're looking for. Our 6 stocks, Pearson correlation coefficient, two-tailed, and flag, show the triangle and show the diagonal, and click on OK. There we go. So if we hadn't done just the lower triangle, it would have also filled in up here. So what we're looking for here is, if we open this up like that, you can do some editing to this whole thing. Okay. Now, this right here, that's the correlation coefficient. That's your R. This is the significance in there. And anything that is less than a 0.1 is significant. 0.5 is very significant. 0.01, pardon me, not 0.5, 0.05 is very significant. 0.01 is really significant, and in this case, it's less than 0.001, which tells you that's really, really strong. So it's telling you that AMD and BAC have a very high, and in this case, positive correlation, okay? So you should take a look at each one of these and then note what it is that you have in terms of significance for correlations out there, okay? Now, we'll go back to this. The curated help helps you to understand the levels of significance, and you'll notice that the highly positive and the positive are shown right here. It's not that Hilton correlated to Bank of America card, Hilton's at the upper and Bank of America at the lower. No, it's just that the relationship between these two is positive. And then the relationship between these stocks up here is highly positive. Okay, so very significant, as well as um, really high in terms of number. Remember that for correlations, the correlation goes from anywhere of -1 to 1, with -1 being negatively correlated so that they are very opposite. As one goes up, the other goes down. And 1 is as one goes up, the other goes up. And the closer they get to a -1 or to a 1, the more highly correlated they are. This, the significance right here, that tells you whether it's statistically significant. Now, typically, you're not going to have a strong positive or very strong positive relationship without it also being highly significant or negative or very, very negative. Either way. So the larger this number is, in terms of how far away it is from zero, the more likely it is to be very significant. And in this case, all of these are correlated with each other. Every one of them is. There's not a single relationship here that's not highly correlated with one of the other stocks. I'm not completely surprised because they're all in the same stock market, but some of them you will find. Notice that while Marriott and Bank of America are uh, correlated, it's at the 0.47, which is still a strong positive. But compare that with Marriott and Hilton, which we should not be surprised at, that they have an even stronger relationship. They're both hotel chains, and that's at almost 0.98. Okay. But you'll notice that both of these are very statistically significant out there. What's the next thing that you do? Okay, you go to the bottom here, click on that curated help. Don't double click, just click on it. We want to insert new text. And so it gives us a text box down here. And in this text box, that's where I'm going to write my little paragraph that discusses the relationships that you see up here, especially the ones within those industries. So uh, how did the technology stocks, the semiconductor stocks, how did they relate to each other? How did the lodging stocks relate to each other? And how did the banks relate to each other? But then were there any other things that you note? So you are going to analyze the data. You have performed the statistical calculations here, but that's not the end of the deal. Now you have to tell me what all of this means. What's important about everything that you learned out of this correlation matrix. And that's where you go, folks. Then you will save this file. This is not the data file. This is the output file. So you'll notice that it's an SPV. The SAV is the data. SPV is the output. And we are going to save that in the same come on thing. There we go. And save that. And then you will go into the MarketWatch correlation assignment, and you will attach the CSV file, the SPV file, and the SAV files. Okay, you'll attach all 3 files in there, and that way I will be able to take a look at the work that you've done. And that's what you're looking for. Take care.